Hi, I'm Tony. Every power tool requires proper care to stay in peak operating condition. Tools and accessories that aren't correctly taken care of may experience a loss of performance or even suddenly stop working in the middle of a project, leading to expensive repairs or replacement, or even worse, serious injury. In the next few minutes, we'll go over some power tool care tips. The first rule of power tool care is to understand how the tool works before you use it. The best way to do this is to read the usage and care instructions in the owner's manual. This will help you get the most out of your tools and help you stay safe. The manufacturer is always the definitive resource for all things care and safety related. Many power tools have built-in safety devices to help prevent accidents. Be sure you understand how these safety devices work and never try to disable them for any reason. Of course, you still need to wear proper eye protection and in some cases, hearing or breathing protection as the manufacturer recommends. Cleanliness is another important part of power tool care. Over time, dust buildup can clog vents, damage motors, and otherwise wreak havoc with the tool's inner workings. Debris stuck on a bit or blade can increase heat buildup, reduce precision, and get in the way of chip clearance from a cut. So be sure to remove any resin, dust, or other residue from your power tools and accessories after each use. It's a good idea to clean them periodically during use if the job site is really dirty or dusty. Remember to store your tools in a clean place as well. A locked cabinet out of reach of children would be ideal. With corded power tools, it's important to take proper care of the cord. For example, when you're using a corded power tool, never let the cord get between the tool and your project materials to avoid accidentally cutting into it. To remove the plug from the outlet after use, always pull the plug, never pull the cord. If the cord splits or the plug comes loose or a prong breaks off, have it repaired by an authorized service center or else replace the tool. Never try to fix these things yourself because incorrect repair could lead to serious injury. Another consideration for corded power tools is using the proper extension cord. Obviously, you'll need a cord of the proper length to reach the work area. Once you know the cord length, you'll need to select the proper gauge or wire size to safely supply power to the tool. Failure to use the proper gauge can damage both the tool and the cord. The right gauge to use depends on how much power the tool uses. Power consumption is indicated on all corded power tools. Sometimes it's listed in watts, other times it's listed in amps at a particular voltage. If it's the latter, you'll need to convert to watts. That's easy to do. Volts times amps equals watts. For example, if the tool uses 5 amps at 125 volts, its wattage rating would be 625. So you'd look for a gauge that can handle at least 625 watts. If you're going to power more than one item at a time with an extension cord, add up the wattage ratings for all the items to determine the proper gauge. As you're choosing an extension cord, it's important to note that the smaller the gauge number is, the larger the wire is. Also, as cord length increases, its current carrying capacity decreases, so not all cords of the same gauge will safely handle the same wattage. To be safe, always check the label, and of course, if you're working outdoors, you'll need an outdoor extension cord. Many power tools, especially models designed for contractors, are built tough to withstand a certain amount of on-the-job abuse. Even so, every tool has its limits, so it's best to avoid careless handling. Rest your tools gently on the workbench instead of dropping them or tossing them aside. If you do happen to drop a power tool, inspect it for damage before using it again. If the tool is damaged, don't use it. Replace the tool or have it repaired as appropriate. Now let's look at some specific care tips for power saws and drills. Any type of power saw could be extremely dangerous if it isn't properly maintained. Always use a good sharp saw blade. A dull blade can make for sloppy cuts and lead to premature motor burnout. Once a blade gets dull, sharpen or replace it as appropriate. If a tooth chips or breaks, replace the blade immediately. It's also important to use the proper blade type and size for the saw as specified in the owner's manual. The best blade to use will also depend in part on your project materials. For instance, cutting into masonry requires a specially designed masonry blade. And the best tooth grind to use will vary depending on the type of cut you're making. Finally, here are some tips for power drills. To increase the life of drill motors and bits, and reduce the chance of stripping screw heads, it's a good idea to pre-drill pilot holes before drilling in screws, especially with harder woods such as oak. It's also important to use the proper size bit for the job. When using screwdriver bits, the tip should fit snugly into the screw head without slipping around. Be sure that the bit is in straight and that the jaws of the chuck are good and tight. When a drill bit gets dull, replace it promptly. If you go through a lot of bits, you may want to consider using a drill bit sharpener as an alternative to bit replacement. When it comes to other drill attachments and accessories, use only commercially available attachments that are designed for use with the drill. Never try to make your own homemade attachments for your drill or for any other type of power tool, because that could damage the tool or injure the user. These tips will help keep your power tools running smoothly for years to come. I'm Tony, and I'll see you next time.